This scientist was tasked with recreating the world's most dangerous man, but she ended up creating something even more lethal. Deep within the shadowed corridors of the Weapon X program, a cold fluorescent hum was the only sound brave enough to disturb the silence. Dr. Sarah Kinney, a brilliant geneticist known for her daring breakthroughs, stared at a glass vial holding the last fragment of Logan's DNA. The original Weapon X experiment had produced only one true success: a man with an adamantium-laced skeleton and a healing factor that defied death itself. Decades later, the government still hungered for living weapons, and the pressure on Kinney was relentless. She had the genome. She had the CRISPR rigs. She had a team ready to rewrite humanity. But she lacked one thing: a Y chromosome. Without it, the classic male template that birthed Wolverine could not be reproduced. After 22 failed attempts, the project was on the brink of cancellation. Undeterred, Kinney turned to a darker, more audacious solution. She stripped the damaged genome down to its essence, removed the need for a Y chromosome, and used an epigenetic scaffold to coax a viable female embryo into existence. The lab lights flickered as the embryo began to divide. Each cell was a promise of power and a curse of purpose. When the first heartbeat echoed through the incubator, Kinney felt triumph. She had created a living weapon, a clone of the original, but without the expected male anatomy. The world would come to know her as X-23. From the moment the artificial womb opened, the infant was thrust into a world of steel and clinical indifference. The scientists saw only a code name, a project, and a data point. Her first breath was met not with a lullaby, but with the clang of metal tools and the sting of antiseptic. Her claws, forged from the same indestructible alloy that made Wolverine a legend, were both a gift and a brand of suffering. Training began before childhood had a chance to form. Every scar was a lesson, every lesson was pain, and every moment was designed to mold her into a perfect killing machine. Yet within those steel walls, a spark of defiance grew. She learned the rhythm of the guards' footsteps. She felt the vibration of metal doors. She channeled her rage into precision. They believed they could break her, but breaking her only forged her resolve. In the darkest hours, she whispered a promise to herself: "One day, I will be free." Meanwhile, far from the sterile labs of Weapon X, another mind was shaping the future of mutant kind through the power of invention. In the arid outskirts of Flagstaff, Arizona, a Cheyenne boy named Jonathan Silvercloud discovered a mind that saw the world as equations waiting to be solved. He would become Forge, a mutant whose intuitive genius could invent anything he imagined. He didn't just study mechanics, he felt the machines. After serving in Vietnam and witnessing horrors that scarred his soul, Forge fled to the American Southwest to find peace. But fate had other plans, leading him directly to the X-Men. His contributions were revolutionary. He engineered Wolverine's cybernetic leg, which was a biomechanical marvel. He built a device that restored Professor Xavier's ability to walk, representing a triumph of neuromechanical integration. He created energy shields, cloaking fields, and teleportation matrices. These were the inventions that kept the X-Men alive in their darkest hours. And through it all, his romance with Storm revealed a softer side, a man capable of love amid chaos. Forge's legacy is etched into every gadget the X-Men wield. It is a testament to imagination turned into reality. But the saga of mutants stretches far beyond modern labs and high-tech gadgets. In 3000 BC, beneath the scorching sun of ancient Egypt, a child was born who would become the most feared figure in mutant history. His name was En-Sabah-Nur, later known as Apocalypse. Abandoned in the desert because of his appearance, his gray skin and glowing blue markings marked him as something otherworldly. The Sandstormers, a tribe of nomads, found him. Their leader, Baal, believed the child was touched by the gods, and raised him under the philosophy that only the strong survive. Under Baal's brutal tutelage, the desert became his teacher. He learned to survive heat that melted the unprepared. He learned to track prey across endless dunes. And as he grew, his mutant abilities manifested. He possessed strength beyond mortal limits, resilience that defied injury, and the power to reshape his own body at will. Word of his power reached a traveler from the far future, Rama Tut, a name that would echo through time as Kang the Conqueror. Manipulated into battle, En Sabanur fell at the foot of the Sphinx, gravely wounded and left for dead. And then the Celestials descended. These were the cosmic architects of evolution, beings who shaped entire galaxies. They saw potential in the fallen warrior. They healed him and infused his mutant gene with celestial energy. They transformed him into Apocalypse, a being of metallic skin, burning eyes, and reality-shaping power. He toppled Egypt's throne and declared a doctrine that would haunt humanity for millennia. Only the strong shall inherit the earth. Empires crumbled and cities fell under his gaze, yet rebellion always simmered beneath his reign. Centuries later, in post-war Germany, another mutant emerged with a story of rejection and redemption. Kurt Wagner, known as Nightcrawler, was born with blue fur, yellow eyes, and a prehensile tail. He was abandoned by his mother Mystique and left to die in a river. Rescued by a Romani sorceress named Margalis Sardos, he grew up in a circus. He was a performer whose agility and teleportation dazzled crowds, but to the outside world, he was a monster. When fear turned the mob against him, he fled for his life. He was eventually found by Professor Xavier, who saw the goodness in his heart rather than the image in the mirror. Nightcrawler joined the X-Men, wielding teleportation and faith in equal measure. His story is a reminder that heroism is not defined by appearance, but by compassion and courage. While Nightcrawler sought acceptance, another figure stalked the night with a very different purpose. Blade, the Daywalker, was born into a nightmare. Born in 1920s London, his mother was bitten by the vampire Deacon Frost while she was pregnant. This gave Blade vampiric abilities without the curse of turning into a mindless monster. Raised by a brothel owner and later discovered by vampire hunter Jamal Afari, Blade honed his skills with swords, stakes, and firearms. He became a relentless hunter of the undead, a man caught between two worlds who belonged to neither. His crusade spanned continents, culminating in a brutal showdown with Deacon Frost. It was a victory that defined his legacy and proved that one man could stand against the darkness. He later formed the Night Stalkers, battling threats from the shadows that most people didn't even know existed. Blade's legend eventually leapt from the pages of comic books to the silver screen, becoming a cultural icon and proving that even a cursed beginning can lead to a legendary life. And weaving through all of mutant history is a shape-shifting phantom known as Mystique. Born Raven Darkholme, she was abused and neglected from a young age. She learned to survive by becoming anyone she needed to be. Her mutation allowed her to mimic appearance, voice, fingerprints, and even mannerisms with perfect accuracy. She infiltrated governments, corporations, and mutant factions alike. She loved, betrayed, allied, and rebelled, always guided by her own survival and ambition. Her relationships were a tangled web of secrets. She was the mother to Nightcrawler, the lover to Magneto, and both an ally and an enemy to the X-Men. Mystique's greatest weapon was not her claws or her strength, but her ability to sow doubt, discord, and deception. She proved that in a world of power, the greatest strength is the ability to hide in plain sight. These stories of X-23, Forge, Apocalypse, Nightcrawler, Blade, and Mystique intertwine like threads in a massive tapestry of power, ambition, and redemption. Each of them began their journey in darkness. Whether it was a lab, a desert, a war-torn city, a cursed womb, or a hidden tribe, they all faced the same fundamental choice. They could choose to become a weapon for others, or they could choose to forge their own destiny. Their legacies echo across centuries, reminding us that mutation is not merely a change in DNA. It is a catalyst for stories that question what it means to be human, what it means to be a weapon, and what it means to be truly free. As long as there are those who dare to defy their creators and rewrite their fate, the story of mutants will continue. It is a story that is ever evolving and ever alive. What do you think is the most powerful mutation? Let me know in the comments.